first session. And the topic for the first session is Gujarat, Realty Poised for Progress. Well, Gujarat is the third most developed state and is absolutely growing at a rapid speed. Well, the session will be chaired by Ravin Bhojani, the Senior Director, Advisory and Transaction Services, CBRE. I would like to welcome him with a quick brief. With 27 plus years of overall experience, and for the last 18 years, he has been the part of the real estate industry and has worked with known Indian developers. He's worked with the international market as well, with specific exposure to East Africa and Middle East. Currently, with CBRE, he leads the advisory and transaction vertical for the entire Gujarat. Let's welcome Mr. Ravin Bhojani. Welcome, sir. I would now like to introduce our speakers in alphabetical order. A real estate professional with over 16 years of experience in P&L management, business development, and operations. He has worked across a broad spectrum of companies from various sectors and has thorough understanding of leasing and land transactions. He is also the member of Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. Please, with your applause, I welcome Mr. Abhishek Bhutani, the Managing Director, Logistics and Industrials, Cushman and Wakefield. Joining them we have Mr. Kamal, Singal, MD and CEO, Arvind Smartspaces Limited. He has been associated with Lalbai Group since 2001 in various capacities. He is responsible for giving strategic directions to the real estate business and identifying new business opportunities and expanding the product portfolio. Joining them, we have Mr. Pandit, the Chairman, Managing Director, Sheetal Infrastructure, an experienced real estate business owner and a strong business development professional with demonstrated history of working in the real estate industry for last 15 years. His skill and expertise lies in focus of land acquisition, business and corporate strategy, development, and business networking. Joining them, we have Mr. Pavan Bakeri, the Managing Director, Bakeri Group. With 2 decades of experience in real estate, he's also the co-founder of Ideal Choice Homes, a precast concrete solutions company. He co-founded Z-Axis, which manufactures drones, cloud computing company, FX Data Labs, virtual reality company, Original Dimentio, Intellimat Technologies, and a nanotechnology venture, as well as Artemis Cast Stone. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. We have 2 more panelists joining over here. We have Mr. Viral J. Shah, the Honorable Secretary, CREDAI Ahmedabad GIHED. He's the Managing Director at Sunbuildcon Private Limited, invitee board member, CREDAI Gujarat, and immediate past chair of Young Indians Ahmedabad chapter. He's also the past chair of CYW Central Zone. And then we have Yash Shah, the founder and CEO of The Address. The second generation entrepreneur, he has a forward integration to his business. He runs The Address, which is currently Gujarat's largest Tier 2 focused co-working, serviced and managed office space provider, an avid angel investor, and has 15 plus startups in his portfolio. Well, I think it's going to be an interesting panel, the first panel over here, Gujarat's Realty, Poised for Progress. And over to you, sir. Thank you so much. All the best.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of the 14th edition of the Conclave, an Excellence Award for Realty Plus. The real estate market has undergone an evolution thanks to the raging pandemic. India is well poised to be a leading example for others to follow. The realty market in Gujarat per se, and major cities remaining stable even during and after the pandemic. The market has transformed into an urban landscape with global standards. Both commercial and residential real estate growth in Gujarat market has gone up. The premium and luxury residentials are now becoming the preferred home option for the buyers. The office space and retail establishments are witnessing increased attendance of employees as well as visitor footfalls, which will further enhance the investor sentiments in this segment. The investors are highly bullish on Gujarat's potential for industrial parks, warehousing, and data centers. Despite the challenges, we expect the growth momentum will continue in Gujarat. I would like to welcome all our esteemed panelists to dive deeper into the discussion of the Gujarat realty market poised for growth. I would start with the topic about residential, living from where Dr. Batra said that according to our CBRE recent India Market Monitor, in Q1 of 2022, housing sales have jumped nearly 13% quarter on quarter, and more than 70,000 units were sold in Q1 of the 2022. And sales rebound significant by approximately 40% year on year. I would like Kamalji, if you could tell me how Arvind has been a part of that growth and what do you foresee in residential sector?
Sure. I mean, we've had a great run, so to say. Of course, we do residential. We not in any significant way do commercials out there. But when it comes to residential, definitely these last few months and quarters have been such that was not anticipated on a positive side. We've seen traction all around. And when I say all around, it cuts across geographies. So we mainly operate out of 3 cities, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Pune, and all of them have seen a great momentum. The other way to look at it is how the mid-price and the luxury and the breach to luxury segment does. I think again, we've seen traction all around. If you were to differentiate and call out one of these, I think luxury created something which is absolutely unexpected, and it did significantly better. In fact, going with our experience of other businesses that the group has, luxury across product categories, not even real estate alone, is doing phenomenally well. I mean, for example, from our portfolio, brands like a Tommy or a CK or thereabouts will do significantly better than others, which to start with are doing great in any case. So something has happened, and I think all of us are aware that luxury is doing really good. I mean, you go and buy some luxury car these days, and you are told that there'll be a 6 months delay there as well, isn't it? So it's pretty good. It's unprecedented. We've seen more than 100% growth in practically everything that we are doing, and hopefully it sustains. And so far, it has been sustaining.
Certainly. In fact, even if you look at it capital-wise, it's a good investment. Like Dr. Batra said, real estate sector has been the only sector which has been giving you good returns even in the investment part. And my question to you, Abhishek, how do you foresee the market trends going on with the capital markets?
Thanks, Ravin. So market definitely, yes, is aggressive. And as Kamalji was saying, that the demand is moving upward side. As a consumer, I mean, it's an overall trend, not only to real estate particularly, that yes, we all have an upgraded lifestyle now. And the lifestyle is changing. So we were always, during the COVID, pre-COVID, was saying what's going to be the normal new. I think that's now coming up forward in various segments that yes, people want a better lifestyle. They want to spend the money where it is worthwhile. And when it comes to capital, yes, capital is under huge demand. As Dr. Batra was also saying that yes, the homegrown investment is increasing, but still not up to the levels that it should be. So with the trends going forward, especially in Gujarat, I would say, sir, I beg to kind of differ with you. The homegrown capital I see over here is more involved as compared to nationally maybe. But then yes, it's got to balance it out. It cannot be remaining unstable things throughout. So that's the trend going forward, and that's how I'd say it.
I totally agree. Pavan sir, would you like to contribute your say into the residential?
No, I actually agree with what Mr. Abhishek ji mentioned. But at the same time, there are headwinds, because we really don't know whether the recent increase in the interest rates, how they are going to impact still so soon to kind of take a call on that. So yes, we are optimistic, but we should be prepared for headwinds, I think. I wanted to flag that.
Thank you. Para sir, આપનું બધા પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ રેસિડેન્શિયલ કમર્શિયલમાં વધારે છે. આપના પ્રમાણે પેન્ડેમિક પછી રેસિડેન્શિયલનું મોમેન્ટમ કેટલું છે? કેમ કે આપના ઘણા પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ સિટીમાં આવી રહ્યા છે. તો એનું ટ્રેક્શન કેવું રહ્યું છે આપ માટે?
બેઝિકલી પેન્ડેમિક પછી આપણે જોવા જઈએ તો જે રેસિડેન્શિયલ છે એ ગુજરાતની સ્પેશિયલી વાત કરીએ તો અત્યાર સુધીના ઇતિહાસમાં એ એફોર્ડેબલ હોય, મિક્સ સેગમેન્ટ હોય કે પછી લક્ઝરી સેગમેન્ટ હોય, આ ત્રણેય એક સાથે વધ્યા હોય એવું આ 2020 પછી પહેલીવાર બન્યું છે. આપણે આટલા વર્ષોથી, હું સ્પેશિયલી કહું તો હું 20-22 વર્ષથી રિયલ એસ્ટેટને જોઈ રહ્યો છું. રિયલ એસ્ટેટમાં અમુક દાયકામાં જે છે એ મિક્સ સ્ટેટમેન્ટ ચાલતું હોય છે, ઘણીવાર જે છે આપણે એફોર્ડેબલ ચાલતું હોય છે, જ્યારે ATIB અને એ બધી સ્કીમો હોય છે. સ્પેશિયલી લક્ઝરી સેગમેન્ટ એ ગુજરાતમાં આટલું બધું એ પહેલીવાર અમે આ 2 વર્ષમાં જોયું છે કે એની ડિમાન્ડ પણ એટલી વધી છે અને એ સાથે એના બાયર્સ પણ એટલા નીકળ્યા છે. એટલે ગુજરાત બેઝિકલી જોવા જઈએ તો અત્યારે રિયલ એસ્ટેટમાં પૂરા ભારતમાં હું કહીશ કે રેસિડેન્શિયલમાં તો 100% સૌથી સારું ચાલી રહ્યું છે.
Thank you, Parasbhai. Office sector. The office sector, India continued to witness a robust recovery. If you look at it over the last Q1 of 2022, we have seen leasing activity grew by 97%. Year on year, it turns to 11.4 million square feet. Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, NCR dominated the absorption. If you look at the market trend that's going on over the quarter, accounting to almost 2/3 of the transactions that have occurred. If you look at the total office leasing, quarter was observed at 0.2 million square feet in Ahmedabad, led by BFSI companies by 59%, and flexible space operators 20%, and life sciences for around 16%. So, outlook agar dekhne jaye, Yash, you are one of the operators who is growing fast. You've moved from Ahmedabad, going to different cities. How do you foresee the office segment and office market scenarios along with flexible workspaces?
So, first of all, a very good afternoon to everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. With that being said, coming to your question, right, I think that if we were to look at the Gujarat office market, not just today, but 5 years before, there was never a traction which was lost, correct? As far as selling is concerned or leasing is concerned, when we have to compare it to somebody, we have to compare it nationally, Gujarat has a very significant point of selling the commercial real estate, right? Once we look at that, when there is a radical shift where now people are moving towards leasing, as you say, right, if I were to look at a market of Ahmedabad, which is oddly 65 million square feet, Gujarat, which is 65 million square feet, I believe that last year we have witnessed the highest leasing as well as selling growth that commercial office market has seen. With that being said, you said that 59% has gone to banking and institution, and somewhere flex operators have come into play. However, we're forgetting about the IT sector, which has come in drastically, taken place from the flex operators, as well as have, because of the ITS policy that has rolled out very recently, the kind of traction which it has attracted, as well as the number of MOUs which came out in the newspaper day before yesterday or the day just before that.
About Geisha signing in.
Correct, right? About 6 companies that have signed the MOU. 10 companies which have signed the MOU, and we're very lucky as flex operators to have 2 of them alongside us, where we kind of beat India's curve, India's tangent against a Gujarat market to have them over here. And that is because of a couple of reasons, right? Number one, I wouldn't say that tier 1 is saturated, but the workforce is just transferring from a place to place, correct? With that being said, a tier 2 plus, which is a Pune or an Ahmedabad, and multiple places like Baroda, Indore, which are now coming up, there is quite a lot of growth that they have seen. There are multiple opportunities for the people. The costs are coming significantly lower, and that is playing a major difference in how people are perceiving moving, shifting, as well as we see migration coming in from tier 3 as well as tier 1 for one thing which is now what we call standard of living amongst millennials, right? And this has together significantly comprised the growth of commercial real estate in Gujarat.
Agree. Looking at the market trend where you said that, migrations happening from two different tier 1 and tier 3 as well. But what comes to play is also the kind of skilled manpower or skilled labor, which is still a scarce in Gujarat. Looking at that trend, of course, BFSI will definitely lead because that's where Gujarat is known for, and with the gift city coming in and the kind of growth factor that is planned for our first smart city, you will definitely see the kind of traction happening more on BFSI and, of course, more on the ITS as well, with the government coming in and putting in aggressive IT policy to promote IT. Like rightly said, GIHED, GESIA did a tie-up with Gujarat government to put in extra or additional business because they foresee there is a growth. But definitely there's a scarce, I feel, for skilled manpower, where the universities are yet not having that much of capability to bring out that kind of skilled manpower.
I do believe, I may not agree or disagree, just have a little different kind of perspective over here. When we look at Ahmedabad University, Nirma University, or multiple offerings that Gujarat has in general, right? When we talk about skilled manpower, today we don't have a single square feet available in Gift City for people to move. And over here we're talking about 10 million square feet. If all of this is full, if there is nowhere where people can move, today who is not hiring? Anyone in this particular room, any company that we talk about, who is not hiring? And that is not because there is a lack of just skilled manpower. That can be 15% true. However, the 85% of truth is that there is a significant change which has happened for which people need more manpower as well as people need more people in space. That is the change, that is the curve where we are in, and which should change with time, and there will be manpower available, of course. Sure.
Thanks, Ravin. So I have a kind of a added on view to it. I would say rather, to a certain extent, yes, you're right. The limitations of the university can prove to be a roadblock in the market development. But then at the same time, we've got to realize that at present, Gujarat and the surrounding areas has the population, which today goes out for studies. And then if they have an opportunity, they would love to come back. So, long back, about a year back during the pandemic days, I was attending one such event which was hosted in Bangalore that was virtually. Somebody interestingly said that while we will be approaching towards the endemic, which is the stage right now, there will be a FOMO of losing out the commercial office space. That time, people were giving away spaces because they did not want it, and they never anticipated what time people will come back. But at the same time, when the startup, once a take-up of the space starts to happen, then they will have a fear about their future plans. And that's what is being witnessed in markets outside, where companies are coming up, signing up in big way. The numbers that they're signing is unimaginable. Nobody could imagine that just after, at the endemic stage, these kind of transactions will be a witness to the market. And purposely also, I would say that the new hybrid model that's spoken about is going to eventually change into a model where you will have your main office into a metros, and then you will have your second office into locations like Pune, Ahmedabad and all. You will never have your entire employee workforce working from home for all. You will rather choose a place close by to where they live, where they want to settle. And as Yash rightly mentioned, that yes, millennials do have an aspirations, and if they have a same income coming in by staying in Ahmedabad, which is close to their hometown, they would love to be over here as compared to be in Pune or Mumbai. They would love to be. So we are moving into that direction where the new hybrid model is going to be one major office in a metro, and then you have your office, you'll have to have your office in a location like Ahmedabad, which can cater to a lot of areas surrounding where the population do exist. They might be moving out for studies, but they will come back.
And just from Gujarat, if we were to look at AU, Nirma, PDPU, NIFT, NID, right? and all the institutions across Gujarat, I think we might have 25,000 students or more graduating year on year. So the skilled manpower that we are talking about should not be a challenge in a couple of years to come.
That's what. So it's the future to be. Coming to Viral Bhai, GIHED, Ahmedabad. What is the trend that you've seen over the post-pandemic and during pandemic, and how GIHED has been a volume to Ahmedabad's growth?
When we talk about GIHED, GIHED has been there since 1980s. So I think we are the third generation over here. Me, Yash, and a lot of other of my board members are sitting there in the audience. So if we say there has been a lot of contribution by GIHED, our seniors, and everyone towards growth of Gujarat. So I think Pavan Bhai's father, he was the founding board member of, founding chairman, I can say that he was the founding chairman for GIHED. So since then, GIHED has come a long way. And now, so if we talk about post-pandemic, so when the pandemic hit us, everybody was thinking that real estate will be a sector that will be affected the most. But as everybody is seeing, last 2 years has been really good in real estate. I think it's even better than the pre-pandemic levels, you know. The demand has shoot up to, especially for, if we talk about residential, the demand has been better than what it was before COVID. And as Yash has just mentioned, that commercial is doing really good. Last 1 year has been a great success story for commercial, because what has happened that there has been very few launches here when it comes to commercial properties. So whatever stock was there is already getting absorbed, you know. And the new stock that's going to come due to increase in construction cost is going to be costlier at least by 300 to 500 rupees per square feet. So I think commercial is poised very well. Other than that, GIHED has, during pandemic, we had meetings with the state government and with RERA authority for extension of the projects, because I think all the projects were delayed for at least first 6 months when everything was under lockdown. So, and we also approached the central government, state government, and also the central government to give us special benefits. So in terms of, maybe in terms of stamp duty, maybe in relaxation in terms of FSI payments, maybe in terms of the second time when the sale deeds are happening, because first time when we buy a project, we already paying a stamp duty. So when customer is buying, he's not supposed to pay. Such relaxation we have asked, some of them has been granted by the authorities, but we're still waiting for the other requests that we have made to the authorities. I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Viral. Pavan Bhai, how do you foresee the residential and retail and commercial market going forward in the next 5 years within Gujarat?
See, I think the IT policy will attract, if you see historically over the last 30 odd years, the greatest job creators have been in places like Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, NCR, Chennai, and the new job for the new economy. And that's where new economy jobs have been created in the millions. And the service sector is there. So with the IT policy, we hope, and also with GIFT being the anchor of a new Gujarat, we hope that Gujarat will find its rightful place in the pecking order. And I would not say 5 years, but going forward, say these things take a while, to kind of make an impact. And real estate is always about a long-term thing, right? Cities are there for like centuries. So if you look at the next 10 to 20 years, I think if you plan that way, I think the future is stellar in all these three, especially because of these new job economies, new jobs being created in the new economy. True. And these are high-paying jobs, and they have an impact on service sector, which is the mall sector, and so many others. They are just huge growth drivers for everything.
Return to work, opening of universities to spur demand and co-living now gearing up. How do you foresee that the market and Gujarat per se will be having that kind of absorbing? It's open to all the panelists too.
So I'm going to take this very quick, right? So I can talk about the address, and I'm going to say that I'm at almost 1 million square feet. When I talk about 1 million square feet, some of the projects are not 1 million square feet, right? And to kind of build something which is 1 million square feet in under 4 years, where a project takes the same time, we have to stop thinking of this as a forward integration to the business, but look at it as a business per se, as a whole together. When we talk about co-working, co-living, managed office spaces, data centers, IT parks, which are going to come into perspective, there's going to be a stage where by 2030, if not 25, there will be a building which is going to be occupied 50% by a co-working or a managed office space player. There is going to be an entirety of an area around universities and colleges where there are going to be only co-living spaces that are fighting to get the chunk, because that's how I foresee the millennials to operate and the market to operate. We are moving towards westernization, and that's westernization in terms of real estate, and that's not a fact that we will be able to change, we like it or not. This is the future, and this is going to be the future. Of course, people do believe that they should have their primary residence. That's not going to change. But at the same time, today what we call as a forward integration to a particular business is going to pan out as the main business. The concept of 1,000, 2,000 square feet offices are going to diminish, and people will be moving to these kind of spaces on and around.
Absolutely. Over the last few months or a year that we've seen the traction happening more on, I would say, flex workspaces rather than managed offices, because they would, or managed offices rather than conventional offices, because everyone wants to have the comfort and ease of plug and play and not to invest that much into a capex cost and opex cost. So rightly said. Coming to you, Abhishek, data centers. That's another growth factor that it's been seen over the years, and in real estate sector, I would say data centers is another investment which people are considering to go into and look at, as a second alternative to residential or luxury. How do you foresee the data center growth happening in the coming future for India and per se Gujarat?
Thanks, Ravin. So data centers, when they started in India about 5 years back, it was probably a word we would have only heard in Hollywood movies. Imagining something, where you have racks all around, but nobody understood what exactly it is. But then, yes, certain markets where the landing cable was coming in, those markets have matured and have been able to adopt to it. Now the data center market is picking up. It's expanding to every nook and corner of the country, and Gujarat is no exception to it. Gujarat has already started getting demand for data centers, but then I think it's very preliminary stage for us to accept that. We have not really, apart from one or two existing ones in the ecosystem over here, we have not really seen. And the curiosity still remains: what's the difference between a data center building and a normal building? That's the basic question remains. And as a service provider to that industry, I'm sure you're also facing that. Why can't we build that? But then there's a mindset block today that the data center operators have. They just want to have a land and then do everything on their own, which is the biggest gap today that we are seeing. And that gap has started to come in Gujarat now. It will have a solution in times to come. Likewise, it is found in other locations in Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi and all. It will find its solution, but then yes, it is the way forward. We will have to adopt to data centers. We will have to have them in our ecosystem. The data is very sensitive. Government is becoming very sensitive towards the data creating and storage of data, and it will have to be done. So yes, as a forum on real estate, we will have to have solution. We will have to have acceptance for them. But then the way they want to operate versus the way market was operating, there's a difference. So there has to be adaptability on both the sides. And as it comes, that market is bound to mature because there's no alternate to it.
Thanks, Abhishek. Kamal sir, in your view, how has real estate sector evolved in these 10 to 15 years, both residential and commercial, within Gujarat?
Sure. I think there are clear trends, there is one way that we've seen in the last 2 decades or so that real estate has moved and grown and, created products and cater to the requirements. But there are clearly new set of drivers which are happening. And if you're talking about Gujarat per se, I mean, I absolutely share the optimism that Yash brings on the commercial side. You know, I just remember one of the stories which used to say that if you see a playing ball crossing the road, you are sure that the kid is following him, and apply the brake when you see the ball and not when you see the kid. And it's true the other way around as well. So I see a positive ball coming from Yash's side, crossing the road, which gives us great sort of confidence and enthusiasm to say that, look, good things are happening in commercial, in Gujarat per se. Yeah, I mean, India-wide also positive things are happening, but I think Gujarat has few extra drivers on commercial, and that gives us confidence on what we should be doing and the extent that we should be investing in Gujarat on the residential side. Because there's a very firm belief that if commercial does well, if commercial picks up, residential follows for sure. Because more jobs are created, more people occupy commercial spaces, they will need more houses, more families will be shifting or staying back within the cities that they hailed from. Gujarat has a tendency definitely where people who get educated, a significant portion of that workforce goes outside. I mean, that's a matter of fact for the last few decades, but I think this is changing very fast. And for this change to happen, one needs some important inflection points or triggers, if we may call so. And GIFT is one of those. You know, government is pushing. Some MNCs have already come. The space which is available is already, used up. Then there are entrepreneurs and innovators like Yash who are forcing a concept which otherwise look very, very distant. You know, I mean, managed workspaces in Ahmedabad. I mean, this sounds a little futuristic. But then Yash is a present, right? He's not future. He's right here with us. 1 million managed spaces in this city or state is absolutely mind-blowing. I didn't know this number. I thought it's very small. In fact, somebody came to us and said, do you do this? We are interested in leasing. You are a good company, so we want to do something with you. And I said, look, I mean, we don't want to get into something which is not. But I think I was wrong. And this gives me the confidence that because the engine of commercial is getting heated, it's kind of counting its RPM going up. Residential has no option but to grow, and that's a great direction.
Absolutely, including Yash, and there are other local operators who have grown as well multifold in the last 2 years. Yash has been leading the way through for the flex offices. So coming to Parasbhai, sir, તમારા પ્રમાણે શું લાગે છે કે ગ્રોથ ફેક્ટર થવાની છે રિયલ એસ્ટેટ સેક્ટર ગુજરાતમાં કયો વધારે તમને લાગે છે ગ્રોથ થશે રેસિડેન્શિયલમાં કે કમર્શિયલમાં વધારે?
જો અત્યારે પ્રેઝન્ટલી વાત કરીએ તો મેં જેમ કીધું એમ કે રેસિડેન્શિયલ જે છે એ બધા જ સેક્ટર બહુ જ સારા ચાલી રહ્યા છે. અને આફ્ટર કોવિડ આપણે જોવા જઈએ જેમ કે એફોર્ડેબલની વાત કરીએ તો અત્યારે તમને જો પૂર્વમાં સ્પેશિયલી અમદાવાદની વાત કરીએ તો પૂર્વ હોય, પશ્ચિમ હોય કે ઉત્તર દક્ષિણ મણિનગરમાં પણ જાઓ તો તમને એક્ઝેક્ટ જે છે એ 3000ની આસપાસ એફોર્ડેબલ રેટ્સ પર મળી રહ્યા છે. અત્યારે જે ફ્લેટ્સના રેટ છે એ પ્રમાણે તમે એફોર્ડેબલ ફ્લેટ્સની વાત કરીએ તો એ બાઇંગ કેપેસિટી પણ એ વધી ગઈ છે લોકોની. પહેલાં જ્યારે કોઈ પણ ફ્લેટ લેવા જતું હતું તો એના જે બાઇંગ કેપેસિટી પ્રમાણે ફ્લેટના રેટ્સ કદાચ એ વધારે હોતા હતા. એઝ યુઝ્યુઅલ આપણે જોઈએ છે કે મેં ઘણી સિટીઝમાં બિલ્ડરોને કામ કરતા જોયા છે, પણ અમદાવાદના બિલ્ડરો સી ખબર કઈ રીતના કામ કરે છે ને એમની એફોર્ડેબિલિટીને હું દાદ દઉં છું એમ કે કસ્ટમરના પોકેટ્સ પ્રમાણે જે છે એ પ્રોડક્ટોને બહુ જ સારી રીતના સેટ કરે છે. અમે ઘણી બધી જગ્યાએ જોઈએ છે એ પ્રમાણે અમદાવાદના અને સ્પેશિયલી ગુજરાતના બિલ્ડરો એ કસ્ટમરોની ડિમાન્ડોને સમજે છે, જાતે બેસીને પ્રોડક્ટ ડિઝાઇન કરે છે. અમે અહીંયા જોયું છે જેમ કે તમે કોઈ પણ આઈસ્ક્રીમની વાત કરો તો આઈસ્ક્રીમની ક્વોન્ટિટી ઘટતી જાય છે પણ એ જે છે એના પ્રાઇસ બિલકુલ સેમ રહે છે. એ પ્રમાણે એ જ ફંડા જે ગુજરાતીઓની ખાસિયત છે એટલે એ જ પ્રમાણે એ લોકો રિયલ એસ્ટેટમાં પણ શોધી લાયા છીએ કે ભાઈ આજે 25 થી 30 લાખ રૂપિયામાં તમને એ ફ્લેટ આપી દે છે. એ તમારા બેડરૂમમાંથી બી કાપી લેશે, ડ્રોઈંગ રૂમમાંથી કાપી લેશે, પણ એઝ યુઝ્યુઅલ જે છે એ તમારી ડિમાન્ડ એ પૂરી કરી આપે છે. એટલે આને આપણે ઓબ્વિયસલી ગ્રોથની ભાષામાં કહીએ તો ગુજરાતનો ગ્રોથ જે છે, અત્યારે હું છેલ્લા 3 મહિનાની વાત કરું તો ઘણા સ્ટેટ્સમાં રિયલ એસ્ટેટ તો પણ ઓછું થયું છે, પણ આજે ગુજરાતમાં એ રિયલ એસ્ટેટ પાછું એનું એ જ વધી રહ્યું છે, ચાહે સ્ટીલવાળા હોય કે ગમે તે હોય, બરાબર છે. એ બિલ્ડરને હેરાન કરવામાં ક્યાંય કસર નથી છોડતા, પણ બિલ્ડર જે છે એ ભાવ વધારવામાં ખરેખર શરમાય છે. તમે ગુજરાતનો બિલ્ડર જુઓ તો એ ભાવ વધારવામાં એને શરમ આવે છે કે જો અમે ભાવ વધારી દઈશું તો કસ્ટમર નારાજ થઈ જશે અને અમારી જે છે સેલિંગ ઘટી જશે. એનું સૌથી મોટું કારણ છે કે ગુજરાતનો બિલ્ડર છે એ પોતાની પ્રોફિબિલિટી ઓછી કરી રહ્યો છે, પણ કસ્ટમરને આજે બી એ 100% સેટિસ્ફાઈડ કરી રહ્યો છે. દેટ્સ કોલ અ ગુજરાત, દેટ્સ કોલ અ ગુજરાતી. થેન્ક યુ.
ગુડ ટુ નો, ગુડ ટુ નો. પણ ઘણીવારમાં એરિયાએ થોડું ઓછું કરી લે છે. Pavan sir, how do you think will technology transform the way we build and buy and sell our houses?
I think the biggest impact will be on the way we build, because sustainability has to be a major concern, and since all of us, all nations, major nations in the world have signed the Paris Accord, we all owe to our collective existence to do something about that. So I foresee the biggest changes over the next 10 years in materials, because building construction will still need to generate employment. So we just can't go and build fully use robots all the way. And even then, even the most advanced robotics cannot do some of the stuff that Mason can and some of the real quality stuff. We are still not there. We will get there, but whether we want to or not, that's another story. Second, labor is still cheap in India, and compared to financial costs. So if you do the math, it still doesn't always work out. Third, I see progress being made in 3D printing, especially in 3D concrete. 3D printing of homes using other materials still a long way off, because it's very expensive, and I don't foresee it going down anytime soon, the cost, at least not in the next 20 years. But 3D concrete is getting there, and hopefully the inflection point could happen as I think within 5 years. I think it could happen, and then that could really ease a lot of quality issues and labor issues, and also incentivize architects to come up with more forms. Right now we are also looking at, when we design affordable housing, we also need to take into consideration ease of construction, because that has an impact on the cost. So I think with if 3D printing of concrete happens, then that could also change the way we design and the way construction techniques are kind of implemented. In the way we sell, no matter what, you still want to feel the vibrations, right? I mean, yes, you have the metaverse taking over, you have all these new technologies, but at the end of the day, I started a company, Original Dimensions, and we started pitching this way back in 2015. There was absolutely, and we also pitched to some of these companies sitting here in the audience, but there were no takers. The pandemic forced us to do that for 2 years, but at the end of the day, the client still wants to physically feel the space and feel the vibrations and see the neighborhood, no matter how good a view you give them of the neighborhood as well. So that, I think, as long as a human being is tactile, a human being has a heart and a spirit and has an intellect, that's not going to go away anytime soon. So
Agree.
On technology, I fully agree that, as Pavan bhai said, quite a few things are basically to do with how do we carry out our construction and activities. But apart from that, I think technology is also taking a little different direction when it comes to how the customer kind of experiences the product that you deliver. For example, I'll share, 2 examples come to my mind, and they're really interesting ones. There are quite a few startups who are now coming in, real estate specific, who are offering kind of services which we never thought maybe a couple of years back or 3 years back. For example, one of them is basically installing technology to say which house and even which bathroom has drop by drop water leakage. And mind you, these are not expensive technologies. So once you install them, part of the cost of the project per se, maybe 50 lakhs to 1 crore for a 400, 500 apartments, nothing which can't be done. But then the amount of conservation it brings, sustainability you said in technology, and this is actual use. And Bangalore as a market has evolved so much that these technologies are now being demanded by buyers, or at least they are asking whether or not you have water management software or that technology, because they already heard about it. This is being installed now, and a very, very crisp system, so to say. There are technologies and startups like Falcon Bricks, the name also appears in my mind. They have revolutionized the way you control your delivery and getting to know what is happening in individual apartment, what activities, where are we lagging, where the progresses are decent, where they are not, how do you give a go-ahead to the next process, how the quality control happens in one integrated platform on the go, mobile control, etc., etc. And these are not fads, these are things which are on ground, happening, implemented, and quite a few companies have adopted all these technologies at a very, very large sort of scale. Even from the customer interface point of view, I'm very happy to share our own experience. Why I'll fully agree that there will be no soul on this earth, not on this earth, possibly in this country at least, who will not visit the place before he buys. I mean, generally you would tend to go and feel the place, but at the same time, technology is really helping him taking that initial call of crystallizing in his mind to say, oh, this developer sounds good, sure, this product sounds good, and that piece is becoming very important. There's so many options, there's so many developers, there's so many products. If you could show and demonstrate something, today we pride ourselves in sharing with all of you the fact that we've almost created a Amazon of technology within our system, where you could go to a project virtually, you could climb up a floor virtually, you could then select an option virtually, you could enter into a balcony of that particular apartment which the system is telling you that it's available or not available, then see what are the actual views from that balcony, so to say, and if you like everything else, you know what price it is, and then if everything else works out, you think maybe it's worth blocking this house by using your credit card and paying 20,000 rupees. So you book that in that sense virtually, a temporary blocking and booking. You do that, pay 20,000 bucks, and you got 7 days to finally decide whether or not you want to complete the booking process and pay the 10% amount which is otherwise required. So this, I know not many people in Ahmedabad possibly would be interested, because they know that picking up the phone is easier than doing all of this. But there is definitely a segment which is interested in this, especially in markets like Pune or Bangalore. And I'm sure like Yash has changed the paradigm today in my mind. Someday these technologies will change the paradigms and thought processes in our minds. And that distant future is not that distant, so to say.
Agree. Technology has moved from chatbots that used to just take in your queries on your portal and moving into virtual tools, because HNIs or the, I would say investors which are coming and looking at Gujarat or India per se, who are sitting miles across in the other countries, they have booked and they have done virtual site visits and reservations of their unit online, and the payments have been happening, and they have yet not even visited their own premises till date. Even the possessions happen. So yeah, virtually things have played a major role and things have changed. Technology is coming in beyond just doing virtual tools and all that. In fact, Gift City is a live example of how technology has changed the entire dynamics of being a smart city, giving in all that is required. Coming to that again, question to you, Viral Bhai. How do you gauge the investment confidence in the coming years? What new opportunities are you expecting in the real estate sector?
So when we especially talk about Gujarat over here, so Gujarat, I think seeing a change now, a shift. I not tell it as a change, but a shift.
It's a shift, yeah.
Yes. So basically, if we see, Gujarat was basically a manufacturing and textile hub from many long years. But since last decade or maybe last 7 years, I think it's been moving to automobiles. Then it's been moving to pharma. It's becoming a hub of pharma with new IT policy from government of Gujarat and with Gift City here. So the banking, BFSI and the IT companies now, especially for those incentives, they are looking for spaces right now in and around Gujarat, in all the major 4 cities of Gujarat. So with that, the workforce that was coming earlier was most of them was coming for, I was unskilled and was coming for, to work in manufacturing from Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. But last 5 to 10 years, I can say that now white collar jobs have been created here. And now the workforce are moving from other states where they think that, where they feel that, like Chhattisgarh now, I see a lot of people coming from there, from West Bengal, even people coming here to do IT jobs, to do finance jobs. So the whole trend has been changing since last decade for Ahmedabad, and especially for Gujarat. Even the last post-CREDAI, if we say that there was a report published like last week only, where they said that the investment for Gujarat was 1,41,000 crores.
Agreed.
So that's a huge number, guys. I think that's 1 year's budget of Gujarat state,
Yep.
if I say. And in 5 years, if this kind of investment is being made in real estate, 80% of that is going into residential. I was seeing the numbers, and 20% was in commercial space. So significant investment is coming here. I see that the future trends with IT and co-working, even for Gujarat being 40% of the Delhi-Bombay corridor, I think
DMIC.
DMIC, yes. So with that, logistic has also been a great plus for Gujarat. With online e-marketplaces and online like players like Amazon, Flipkart, and everybody, they have now looking around for logistic parks. They're looking for places where they can have their like 5 lakh square feet places where they can
For warehousing and yeah.
Yes, yes. So I think those rental opportunities are also good. So I think Ahmedabad overall, Gujarat overall is poised to grow at least by 7 to 10% every year for next three years at least. That's what I see from this step here.
That's quite an optimist figure, I would say. But you missed out on one sector. That has been one of my prime sectors as well, because most of the experience in real estate has been in retail. So what do you see as a demand outlook on retail sector and the future trends?
Okay, so everybody knows that the sector that was affected the most during pandemic was retail, because everybody was, all big MNCs were thinking that we should now not expand, they dropped their expansion plan. I know a couple of MNCs who have signed their lease agreements with developers, but they then dropped their plan because they thought that, yes, they backed out. But now, since last 6 months, things are changing. And now, COVID is almost gone. I think we can say that now we see no one is wearing a mask over here. One or two I see, but like 99% of us are not wearing masks. So the fear of COVID is gone now. So now people are moving back to their normal things. If you see travels, like if you see hotels in India or abroad, if you see airfares, everything is like shooted up at least by double, you know?
Yeah, it's gone back to pre-pandemic.
It's a revenge tourism that's happening. So same thing is happening in real estate also. And now the expansion plans are bigger than what it was pre-COVID.
That's interesting.
Yes. So now even the banks have started expanding. Other big retail markets which have stopped and dropped off the plans. They are now looking for places. But now there is a shortage of good quality commercial spaces right now in Ahmedabad.
That's what.
Yeah. So I see a great future. Next 2 years is going to be a great for retail. That's what I can say.
What percentage do you think that would be?
I'm not sure about the percentage on retail, but it was just a general industry thing, you know, 7%.
So between 5 to 7% that we're looking at.
Of course, yes.
Okay, great. Yash.
I mean, I think that there are a couple of reasons why there has been a paradigm shift in retail also. If we talk about automobiles, if we talk about HVACs and all the people that are really taking up these spaces, today there's a shortage of semiconductors, today there are shortage of chips. These businesses are not going to be stopping, right? If I were to look at the next 3 to 5 years, I don't think that who over here does not want a new car for which there is not, a turnaround time? Who does not have, developers especially, right, who need excessive HVACs, and because of that, the timelines are getting pushed. When we are supposed to be looking at the businesses where the turnaround time of business is dependent upon just the retail rental, yes, that may take some time, or I think that has now opened up. If we were to look at F&Bs, if we were to look at just normal selling. But if we were to just compare an apple to an apple, I think that the people that are taking up major spaces, right, they're not going to stop. They have their targets, they have their things sorted out for the coming 3 to 5 years, and I just see now retail going up because of whatever that has happened is now mitigated. There's just a way ahead now. Which when we started to go around the SG highway, when we started to go around CG Road, we see for rent. And today, irrespective of the costs, you won't see that anywhere around the city, but rather people paying 5 rupees saying that, okay, where's the ease of doing business? Let me get out of it and let me get that space.
Agree. So certain pockets of the cities are seeing the growth, but the other pockets, if you look at the center part of the city or the old commercial CBD,
correct.
It's now seeing that trend shifting towards.
Yes, and I would also like to add the fact that in Ahmedabad per se, we had only one retail giant who also expanded, by the way, post-COVID, Nexus Alpha 1. And now we have Phoenix Palladium coming together. Where I think, while if I were to look at the market before 5 years, I would suggest that Ahmedabad to have one huge retail mall was great. But today, even 2 looks small. So I think that even in retail, there's enough opportunity for people to coexist and to grow in a tier 2 plus city. So that's going to stay.
But overall, my experience has been pretty bad because last 18 years that I've seen, one mall comes, the other shuts. I've seen the growth of ISKCON and the death of ISKCON. I've seen the growth of Gulmohar and all the other properties around that vicinity. So I don't know, looking at the tier 2 cities overall in India, only one giant can survive, no 2.
I do believe that now you're going to make Team CBRE work harder than ever.
They always are.
But with that being said, I do think that the next 5 years will speak for themselves, where both of them, because now what has happened is that the 2 segments have differed. People know where to go, and that shall go ahead for the
Let's hope for the best. Yeah, they both survive. So last question to you, Yash. How do you gauge the investment confidence in, and what are the significant factors in building design have pushed the demand for green and sustainable building over the past few years?
Lovely, right? And I think that I was discussing with Chitrak Bhai very recently, and he talked about how there's so much he wants to do regarding giving back to the society through a medium of green sustainable buildings. But not just that, if we were to talk about various IPCs who are now coming in and getting significant clients to the city of Ahmedabad, there are so many people, so many clients that now ask if the building is green, if the building is sustainable, what are the certificates related to it? And we want to give that a first preference, correct? We want to give that a first preference because our company has committed to XYZ. And that is going to stay. I think that with, not just because of that, but because of the increasing costs of real estate, when there is a significant capital going in the very beginning, people are going to give that go ahead and make sure that not just the building as an amenity, but the people living there get an added advantage benefit out of the same.
Great. I guess we are just almost in time. I'm going to quickly ask each panelist to just give a brief 30-second on post-COVID recovery across sectors. How and what do you see? I'll start with Abhishek.
Thanks. So recovery has been phenomenal, and Gujarat is no exception to it. Commercial, we all heard that yes, it's bound to grow. I think the next way forward on commercial side is the campus development in Gujarat, which has not happened yet on a big scale. If we talk about scale, that scale is going to come up in campuses. Talking about retail, yes. I think, and I agree with kind of Yash, that yes, 2 malls can survive. The population has grown, the income has increased, and there is a need for two malls. In terms of industrial, Gujarat is already established on the world map. It does not need any introduction. A continuation on that road path will certainly lead to growth on that particular sector. And lastly, residential, it's like automatic demand. You know, commercial is growing, retail is growing, industries are growing. There's bound to be an increased demand for residential, which is bound to happen. And we have all seen changes from bungalow schemes to apartments to now high rises, which is coming up. The sector is going through a change.
Just to keep it short, I think we've passed recovery phase long time back. I mean, I think it's a little outdated concept now. We're into a true growth phase. It's about expanding. It's about becoming more agile. It's about bringing in products, and it's about tapping what we already have as a big opportunity. The canvas is all there. It's about how many paintings and what kind of size of painting that you could paint. So recovery is all gone. We're looking ahead, rather way ahead of recovery phase as of now.
પોસ્ટ કોવિડ પછી આપણે વાત કરીએ તો જે પહેલી વાર એવું થયું છે કે બાયર્સ બી હેપી છે, સેલર્સ બી હેપી છે, સપ્લાયર્સ બી હેપી છે, કોન્ટ્રાક્ટર બી હેપી છે. આવું હેપી હેપી જે છે એ કોવિડ પછી આવ્યું છે, એટલે આપણને ખબર નથી પડતી કે આ કોવિડને શું કહેવું, સારું કહેવું કે ખરાબ કહેવું.
And I agree with Parasbhai that there is a huge, upswelling of optimism, and also that optimism is not only in the minds, but it's also there on ground. So, I think 2 years were good. It was, it was good to reflect on the years gone by. It was good to reflect on the future. It was a good pause button. And I think so we have created another platform from which to jump. So I think it's good all around. Thank you.
હું પણ પારસભાઈની જેમ આવતો ગુજરાતીમાં બોલીશ. બધા બેઝિકલી ગુજરાત અત્યારે જે રીતના પોઇસ્ડ છે હું જોઈ રહ્યો છું. મારું એવું માનવું છે કે 2 નાના રેડ ડોટ છે ખાલી ફ્યુચરમાં હું જોઉં છું. જે કન્સ્ટ્રક્શન કોસ્ટ વધી રહી છે, એટલે એનું એક સોલ્યુશન છે જે પારસભાઈ ઓલરેડી કીધું કે જે આપણે આઈસ્ક્રીમની સાઇઝ જેમ નાની થતી જાય છે એવું એક ઓપ્શન છે આપણી પાસે. એ એક રેડ લાઇટ જોઉં છું. બીજું રેટ ઓફ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ જે આપણા રિઝર્વ બેન્ક ઓફ ઇન્ડિયાએ જે રેટ હમણાં વધારે રેપોની રિવર્સ રેપો રેટ, એના કારણે આઈ થિંક નેક્સ્ટ 1 વર્ષમાં થોડી ઘણી એફોર્ડેબલમાં એની ઇફેક્ટ જોવા મળશે. થોડી ઘણી, કારણ કે 1 લાખ ઉપર આઈ થિંક એ લોકોને 1000-1500 વધારે સ્પેન્ડ કરવો પડશે. એક્ઝેક્ટ નંબર્સ મારા પાસે નથી, પણ દેટ્સ વોટ આઈ ફીલ. જેને લોન લઈને અફોર્ડેબલ હાઉસ લેવાનું છે એના માટે ઇટ્સ અ બિગ અમાઉન્ટ. સો આ 2 વસ્તુથી જ ખાલી આપણે જોવાનું છે. પણ સામે જો સારી વસ્તુ આપતા હશો તો માર્કેટ બહુ સારું છે. માર્કેટમાં અત્યારે કોઈ બીજી ચિંતા જેવું છે નહીં. કસ્ટમર સામેથી આવી રહ્યા છે. અને જેમ અત્યારે યશે પણ કીધું કે બહુ બધું કોસ્મોક્રાઉડ બીજી બધી સિટીઝથી પણ આવી રહ્યું છે, જે લોકોને નવું ઘર લેવું છે. અને જે 25 થી 40 વર્ષનો જે એજવાળા લોકો છે ને, એ લોકો જે પહેલાં રેન્ટલમાં બિલીવ કરતા હતા, હવે પોતાનું બાય કરવાનું ચાલુ કર્યું છે. એટલે દેર ઇઝ લોટ ઓફ પોઝિટિવ્સ અને ઇઝ ટેન્ડ ટુ બી ગુડ ગ્રોથ.
I think we've done enough of AC, BC, which is after COVID, before COVID, right? I think 2022 is the last year where we talk about what has happened because of COVID, this, that. COVID lasted for 8 months. We've been talking about COVID post that for a year and 8 months. Look at how the businesses have flourished post that. As I said, nobody is stopping to hire. Everyone over here is hiring, right? We're not looking at what this is going to mean. Gujarat real estate before COVID was booming. Gujarat real estate after COVID has been booming even more. And looking at 5 years down the line, we are going to wipe out a Calcutta and Pune, and going to make sure that now we are a tier 1 city, proving everything that there was there is now right here.
That's the spirit.
Correct.
That's the spirit. Thank you. We're running short of time. We'll quickly take a couple of questions if there is anyone in audience who'd like to ask our esteemed panelists any questions.
Apologies, but like you mentioned, we're running short of time, so we would like to take the questions offline. Our panelist and moderator will be present over here. So I would request the audience to please take the questions with them offline. But nevertheless, let's have a huge round of applause for such an interesting panel discussion. અને બીંગ અ ગુજરાતી આઈ થિંક આપણે જ્યારે આવું સાંભળીએ કે માર્કેટમાં કામ છે અને આવતા 5 વર્ષ જે છે બહુ જ સારા છે એટલે મને પોતે એઝ એન આર્ટિસ્ટ આ સાંભળવામાં બહુ જ સારું લાગે છે સો થેન્ક યુ સો મચ ફોર ગિવિંગ દેટ રે ઓફ પોઝિટિવિટી એન્ડ હોપ ટુ એવરીવન એન્ડ લેટ્સ હેવ અ લવલી ગ્રુપ ફોટોગ્રાફ